Okay, all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. I know I'm starting way early, but actually today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to go a lot longer. So we're going to go about, I think, about 2 hours today is what my live stream plan is. I'm doing it solo today, so we don't have our lovely guest as usual. He is out today. I had to basically be able to well, actually, I'll kind of tell you. I thought I was going to have some other things that I had to do, but now I don't have to do them. So he could have come, but also it's a Christmas season for him, and when Christmas season happens, he also gets pretty busy as well. So there you have it. So we're going to start this off today, and, you know, basically, I do have a lot of things that I have to talk about and some things that I really want to go over and all that kind of stuff. So here we are. We're starting a little bit early. I see that Vu has upgraded to the Okuden level. Welcome in. So happy to see you there. I'm just going to share this out to a couple places. And if you're tuning in right now, don't forget to like this video and make sure you subscribe and hit the buttons, and you know the deal, all the buttons and bells and stuff. Every single YouTuber tells you about this sort of stuff, but it's a really big problem. And the big problem is that so many people are on YouTube and watching videos and being like a part of like different groups and whatever, but they actually don't subscribe. But they'll watch every single video that person comes out with because it hits their algorithm. So there we go. So we have everything set up, so everybody should be in. Let me just check the audio really quick on this. So we're going to start this off today. Yeah, good. So there we go. So it's all working out well. I'm going to hit that like button for myself. It always feels weird to hit the like button on your own video. Talk about narcissistic. Okay, so one of the things I want to jump into right away is I want to jump into the live stream question chat, because we do have a couple from Audrey and she had asked them. So as usual, when we do this, you're welcome to ask any questions that you want about Shakuhachi. You can ask any questions you want about me, about anything that's in the studio, where I live in Japan, life in Japan, Japanese things related, culture, questions, language, all that kind of stuff. So let's jump right into it. Audrey asked this question. Could you re-explain the one technique you described in yesterday's masterclass piece? It was about playing role while listening to a tune. The purpose was to learn to link the notes. Do I have to sing the notes out loud, or is that for throat tuning? Okay, so we'll start with there. There's another question afterwards. So in the studio, what I like to do periodically is I get all of my students together and I get their students together and we do a big masterclass. We actually haven't done one in a while, and it was really fun, and I'm looking forward to next week's masterclass where all my associate masters are teaching. So if you'd like to be a part of that kind of stuff, join the membership, join our Discord, and you have this huge, group of people that you can play for, get feedback, and all that kind of stuff. It's a really great community. It's actually become so much bigger than I thought it ever would be. Very thankful for that. Okay, so this question. So in the masterclass, the student was playing the piece Itsuki no Komori Yuta. And one of the things that was happening when she was playing the piece was there was a little bit of this that kind of pushing. Now, I'm exaggerating what she did. She didn't play it like that. But there's a smoothness that you want to have when you're playing the music, right? You want these notes to connect instead of it sounding like you're pulsed. So, for example, if you were to sing that, it'd be like, oh, do, mya, no, ni, oh, right? Like that kind of pushing on every single note. It's very unnatural for the sound. So what I imagine, or what I give my students to do is I'll play the melody over them, and I'll play it very smoothly. That and maybe even more smoothly than you would normally play that piece. And what I want them to do is I want them to play roll along with me. And so what they do is when they start playing that roll, they'll start doing this. And they can see how the note is kind of fluctuating, and it's not staying this kind of pristine, flat sound. So that's the phrase I want them to use for the opening of that Itsuki Komori Yuta. Instead of a. So the best way to practice something like that is to pull up a recording of one of the players you like and just play Ro along with the piece that you're learning. And maybe if the piece's key fits better on Re, then you play Re, right? And you just play along with it, and you imagine yourself playing that phrase. So as you're, imaging yourself playing this phrase over that note, you'll be able to play it a lot better. It's more smoothly. So let me give another example of this on something that's kind of simple. So for example, let's say you're learning the piece Hinomaru, right? It's the the first piece that we learn in our Shoden book, Shoden Series. If you're not on the membership, you should join the membership so you know what piece I'm talking about. So Hinomaru sounds like this. But now imagine is as you're playing that, you play this. Right? Obviously that's not right. Right? There's no flow to the music, and you have all these punches that are happening, right? So in order to remove that, what you can do is imagine yourself playing the piece, but just played Su. Now, when you imagine yourself playing, you might do something like this. Right? And you can hear the instability in the sound, right? So you hear yourself play, and then you start to fix that. Make that sound smooth, then add. And so on and so forth. And that's the way, or what I was talking about in that particular masterclass. It's a really good technique to utilize. Okay, second question here is, when playing Ro in Kan, when I finish the note softly, it tends to jump back to Kan to Otsu. How do I fix that? Thank you. Well, Audrey, you are very welcome, and thank you for asking those two wonderful questions for today's live stream. So that Kan dropping into the Otsu register, this is a common problem even for for other techniques as well. Let's say if you're doing komibuki on the high E note, or your chi drops down into Otsu, Kan notes falling into Otsu is a pretty common problem, especially towards the end of the phrase. So what's happening here is basically the embouchure is opening inadvertently. So for some reason, why we do it, I don't know why, but when the note gets softer, we start to open up the mouth when we get softer. So we get that sound at the end. So you just have to keep the mouth closed. So you don't change that shape, because the shape is what determines which register you're going to be and how resonant that note is. So that's a little bit more of a simple one, but just kind of keep the idea of that mouth closing. Or if you feel like the mouth is closing towards the end of the phrase, you'll actually probably keep it just the same. Laurent, my good friend, how are you doing? Thank you for asking a question. Working with Nick on the Hitoyogiri so far, how would you do a collaboration with Hichiriki, Ryuteki, Sho, or a combination of those wins? Okay. I always can count on you to ask a very great question. And here's what I would probably say. I'd probably say that it won't work. And the reason why is because Hitoyogiri is so soft. It doesn't have a presence of really being able to carry its tune. It's a very solo instrument, especially with a note with an instrument like Hichiriki or even Ryuteki. Maybe Ryuteki in the lower register would work, but Hichiriki and Sho are just too big. Those reedy sounds are just too big. I think you would barely hear it. One of the things that's kind of a mystery still is how the shakuhachi was used in the gagaku ensemble, and I'm thinking. I'm kind of changing my opinion on this too. Is I don't know if the gagaku shakuhachi and the hitoyogiri are related. I think that they're separate instruments because of that additional hole on front. I think that the gagaku shakuhachi may have been used more for just of a tuning instrument. so like you have like a note here, like okay, our next key is going to be in ichikotsu, and then that would be the tuning pitch. Everybody kind of tunes to that, and then you do your netori, taking the pitch, and then the choshi, and then you'd go in and play the actual tunes. Okay, well the next piece is in oshiki, because it's soft. It's enough that it wouldn't be intrusive for like the musical context, right? But I don't know, and I also think too that like there's a couple theories on the shakuhachi and how it was imported into Japan. There's the one import theory, the two import theory, and the three import theory. So the one import theory is that the Gagaku shakuhachi comes in the Nara period, it stays, it develops into the hita yogiri, and then it develops again into the shakuhachi. The two import theory is that the Kagaku shakuhachi comes in, and then the hita yogiri comes in, and the hita yogiri develops into the shakuhachi. That's the one I'm probably the most confident with right now. I used to be a one import theory, but the more and more I look at the Gagaku shakuhachi, the removal of a hole just doesn't make sense. Adding a hole makes sense, but just taking one out, that's a little bit strange to me. And also the scale in which the Gagaku shakuhachi plays is do re mi, where this is clearly not, the hita yogiri is clearly not do re mi, and it's the way you play it. The last theory is the three import theory, and as you can guess, the Gagaku, the hita yogiri, and the Fuke shakuhachi all are imported in Japan separately. I don't think that there's any credibility to that one. The way that the hita yogiri and the classical shakuhachi are played are so similar, you really can't get away from it. So yeah, there you have it. Great questions, Laurent, and I think that this should be another. I think that you, Nick, myself, and maybe one other person, we should get on another live stream call like this and do one of our shakuhachi live streams and talk more about this, because this is an area that I think is just so fascinating, and I think a lot of people are interested in something like this too. So let's go on to Herbert Haas, who is a subscriber and a member. He gets access to all these awesome videos. Do you get access to them? If not, sign up for that membership and have a chance to win a new Yozan flute. That's right. So if you sign up for the membership, we're doing a raffle at the end of the month because our last winner didn't collect his prize. And so we're giving it away again on 23rd. Sign up for each level. The first level is 1 ticket. The second level is 2 tickets. Third level, 5 tickets. And the fourth level is 10 tickets. So Herbert asked this question. Would you please talk a little bit about Minyo and what's the best flute for it? That's actually a really good question, especially the second part of it, which is what kind of flute is good for it. So it depends on the singer. I'm going to answer this backwards. I would say that having a range of sizes. When I was in Hirosaki doing our big shakuhachi festival, I hung out with these two sisters who were Minyo specialists and Tsugaru singers, and they were like, oh, I need like a 1.4, I need this to be an F or a 1.5 F sharp. That's where my vocal range sits, and I'm like, I don't have that one. How's a 1.6 sound? And so she did that E, but it's a little bit low for her. But if you had a male singer, you might want to have a 1.8 or a 1.9. So just like Shinobue players have one flute in every single key because of this reason. Certain songs fit in the tessitura of the singer, have different ranges for people, and people have different breaks. So in order to accommodate with the singer, because they can't change their voice, but we can change our instruments, it's good to have a wide range of stuff if you're doing this professionally. Now, if you're just doing this for fun at home, my two favorite sizes for Minyo music is 1.8 and 2.0. Those are my two favorites. I think they sound the best. A 1.9 would also fit in that category too. Same with the 1.7. So 1.7 to 2.0, I think is the best register for Minyo music. And in terms about talking a little bit about Minyo, there's not really much. I don't know what to go. It's a really broad question. So if there's something specific about Minyo that you would like to know, just let me know, and I'd be happy to answer that today. Okay, Magus has a question. Probably this question was asked before. Why shakuhachi notes are called rotsure chiri? Any reason for these katakana, or are they purely random? They are not random. There is a meaning behind them, and they weren't always called that either. And they're not always called that in every single school. So different schools have different notation systems. The oldest notation that we would have, which would be fu ho u e chi, and that system is the same system as the hitoyogiri. So when you play hitoyogiri, the lowest note is called fu. Then you have u or fu ho, and this second note is also called roll. So you have fu ho and roll. U, e, chi, and so on and so forth. Or this one's chi. This last note, that's chi. And then so on shakuhachi, that would be this. That'd be fu, ho, u, e, di, and then chi, like that. Then another system would be like the Tozan ryu system. Instead of using the di notation, they use ha. So that's actually related to the hitoyogiri. Hitoyogiri also uses ha a lot too. Same with classical shakuhachi. The chikuhoryu, I believe they used like ya and something else like that. So really, it's just however they would like to use the methodology of notating. Like notating has an entire tradition of its own. People call things certain things and whatever. Same thing with techniques. People call different techniques certain things, but they could be the same technique across schools and so on and so forth. But yeah, usually it's because of a traditional thing. So the development of how it happened with hitoyogiri, I'm not entirely sure about. But that did carry on into the early Myoan tradition, and then from there it disseminated into other things. So the Kinko is called the lowest note roll. So did the Tozan school, but the Myoan school continued to call it fu. Okay, good question. That might be a really good video to do for me to do some more research on with some of my shakuhachi friends from different schools, and we can kind of go on how these systems developed. The modern Kinko notation system was actually quite late. There's old Kinko scores that were still fu ho u as well, and I actually have some of those scores from the 1700s. I have a facsimile of them, and it's they're great. It's super cool, but yeah, it's fu ho u, and there's no rhythmic notations in it either. So it's very different than the modern Kinko stuff. All right, Craig. Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Craig. I can play the traditional kuro kuro. I think that's right, and was wondering if it's still called that if played with other notes. Or are you talking about koro koro? I'm thinking maybe this one. I'll write that in there. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I'm just gonna double check that with you because I'm not sure what kuro kuro. Kuro means black, so I don't know what the black technique is. It's like super in-yo, like some yin-yang stuff there that I'm unaware of. It's like a meta in-yo, meta yin-yang. Okay, so while we're getting that question updated from him, I do want to give you guys an update on the Tairyu Jinashi flutes. I had one of my friends and mentors come over yesterday, and he played it. And he really liked this flute. He was like, "This is really sounds like a Jinashi flute." We are in the final stages of the printing process of these. One thing that's different about this particular flute is when it comes to making like a 3D printed flute, is it's not just print and done. There's a lot of individual work that goes onto every single hole. The fushi on the inside need to be adjusted. The utaguchi is hand cut. It's not printed. So a lot of stuff here does need a lot of additional work. And when you're doing that with 3D printing, having the right type of carbon fiber, using higher quality materials, we want to hand something to you. When it goes into your hands, you go, wow, I got a really great deal on this. Like, wow, I really feel like I should have spent more money on this. I never like people walking away thinking I spent too much. So Nick and I are still working feverishly on these. They're sounding better and better every single time they come out because he's getting more and more comfortable with the process of it and how to work with it. So stay tuned. It's still coming out. It probably won't be ready for Christmas time. If it is, that's amazing. But hey, maybe you have a Boxing Day present instead from if you're in the UK, or you have sorry, I forgot to get you a Christmas present for yourself in the new year, all right? Or a New Year's present, or a Valentine's Day present, whatever you want to call it. You have that, okay? You said the crane sound. So the crane sound, Craig, there's a couple of those, right? You have this one, like that, right? You also have like a lot of different options there for the crane sounds. A lot of times for those like specific techniques, they use specified fingerings and specified notes, and they're usually used in the same way in the music. So there are different variations of koro koro, but I can only think of a couple other variations that are commonly used. So for example, horo horo, and then there's goro goro, and then uha goro. So those are also in my membership as well, by the way. If you go into the Chuden series, the Chuden level will give you access to the technique series where I go over all those individual techniques. Okay, so quickly, let's jump in once again to the membership. So on this channel, there is a membership. We have the Shoden Trial, which is 20 lessons of introducing yourself to Shakuhachi. Then the Shoden Lessons, 70 videos of material. The Chuden Lessons is all of that stuff previous, plus an additional 25 Chuden lessons, plus an additional 20 technique video series, plus a Western music reading course, plus bonus lesson tracks. So it's like over 125 videos or something crazy like that. Then on top of that, we have the Okuden series, which is currently being made, and already on top of that right now, I know it includes the concert access pass. So all of the concerts that I do and record for my own personal, benefit to, keep a record of all my recordings, I upload all of those to YouTube as my kind of safe storage. But I gave you guys access to it, so you can watch all of those when you're at the Okuden level. And along with that, you have a chance to win this beautiful Yozan beginner flute. We'll be giving it away on December 23rd, just in time for Christmas. So this is a Tozan style flute. If you sign up for the first level, you get 1 ticket towards the raffle. The second level, you get 2 tickets. The third level, you get 5. And the fourth level, you get 10 tickets. And I know my student who's on the Okuden, he's Daniel, he's like, I'm winning it. I feel it. I know it in my bones. Well, he might win it. ChatGPT might come through for him, but I don't know. ChatGPT is the one who chooses. I don't choose. So here it is. So, sounds really great. It's a size 6 cap. Really good for a beginner. All right, so there we have it. That is that part of the news. Now, I want to jump over to the... I'll do it as a new window. I want to jump over to our community tab because there's some interesting stuff there that I'd like to review and talk about. And of course, if you have any questions, please still feel free to ask into the chat. That is what this is for. This is a place for you to ask your questions and get answers, not just for me to read community boards. Okay, so here we go, community boards. Oh, we have to go over that Fukurorando, or not Fukurorando, the Rampo flute. So, kind of tracing back last week to those techniques that were really difficult, letting that pole kind of proliferate a little bit more. The Muraiki technique is by far still the one that's the biggest question of it, with having it 63% of people, asking for that to be clarified. It's a very tough technique. So, all right. Now, in other news, we have all 4 of the Tairyu Honkyoku CDs are now out. So the first one that came out in the beginning of the year, the second one, I think it was like March or April, something like that. And then I finished the last 2 just recently. The previous number 3 I finished in October, and then the 4th one I finished in December. So there you have it. All of those are out. You can easily find those and search those at Tairyu Honkyoku. They're on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, anywhere that you listen to music, you'll basically have it. Okay. All right. Now, for the exciting stuff, the review video that came out for the Rampo flute. This Rampo flute, I'm telling you guys, this is one crazy beautiful flute. I've really enjoyed playing it. I was look. This flute was so good. I was considering keeping it and making it my main flute. It's so good. Um, yeah, I had when I got the flute, it was basically I kind of accidentally bought it. I didn't really want to buy it, but I bought it, and then there was a couple problems with it. So one, it didn't have this binding on the top. There was a hairline crack here and it's not bad at all. It just needed to be closed up and secured. And then the middle joint was bad, right? So when I got it, the first thing I did was I kind of taped it together and put it together, and I was like, all right, let's just see how this thing sounds. And I was like, whoa, that row is just beautiful. So because of that, I sent it off to Yozan right away, and I said, hey, can you fix the middle joint here? Put a new, nakatsugi in here, just like in a black lacquer style, and then have repair that little crack there. And he did all the work for me, sent it back to me in a couple days. But yeah, the row, such a beautiful row and very, very easy to play. I've really enjoyed working with this flute, especially, and I didn't mention this in the video review that I did of this flute, but what's really nice about it is how accessible the daikon register is. That register up there is so easy to play in. Now, it might not be the best for the headphone users who are listening to this live stream, but it still is a really, really gorgeous flute. So it is for sale. Again, I haven't picked a price point on it yet that I'm absolutely happy with. It's a very hard price point to pick because it's like a really fantastic rampo that, I mean, I've played lots of rampo flutes before, and one of the things is that a lot of rampo flutes are actually not made just by Rampo himself. A lot of them have been worked on by Miura Ryuho, as well as a plethora of his other students. So this one is an older one, and it bears a different hanko, and it seems like it's one that he made entirely himself. And it really punches outside of its the normal level of flutes that he makes. So if you're interested in it, please do feel free to reach out to me on the Discord, or you can leave a comment on this video, or you can reach out to me through my website, SeanHeadMusic.com. If you go to the lesson tabs, there's a contact form at the bottom of that page. Okay, so let's see. Other news things. I know there's some other news. Yes, the family and I are doing a trip back to America. We'll be having some concerts and doing some things in there as well. We'll be in America from January 31st to March 10th. We'll be based around in the Midwest, so we'll be doing some stuff there. So if you are in the Midwest and you're interested in seeing some concerts or stuff like that, just keep up to date on this channel. If you hit the subscribe button, you'll definitely get an update on my YouTube channel stuff on the community tabs. So just stay tuned with that stuff, and that will come up as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump back into your questions. I have to go over to the Discord really quickly too, because sometimes I miss a question. So if you have any questions about shakuhachi, about myself, about Japanese language, Japanese culture, Japanese aesthetics, any of that kind of stuff, just let me know. Happy to answer that and help how I can. Okay. Oh, this is a really interesting question here. It's actually shakuhachi storage, and especially in regards to travel specifically. So when you're traveling with your shakuhachi, what's the best way to prevent it from having any damage, especially when you're going to be going into like an airplane or something like that? You're going to get to a place that has a very low humidity level. You might have sudden temperature changes. And this is of concern because shakuhachi and bamboo doesn't do well with sudden changes in temperature or especially in humidity levels. Like one of the reasons, for example, why bamboo cracks is because the outside of the bamboo is cold, and then when you're blowing inside the flute, the inside expands faster than the outside expands, and then therefore you get a pop and it cracks. especially with thinner bamboo. That's a common problem. So what do you do? Well, there's different types of seals. Like they make these tubes. I wonder if I can pull that link up over here too and kind of post that in the chat here. So yep, we can visit this eBay. Here we go. This is a tube for $31 from off of eBay. So this is it's basically an artistic document tube. So you know when people have canvas and they roll that up, or they have some sort of painting that they're working on, they can roll that up and put it into the tube, and it keeps it safe. That will actually help keep the humidity level higher because you don't have things leaking. Another thing that you can do if you're really worried about it, and especially if you live in a dry place, you might want to consider getting yourself what's called a dampit. This can go right inside the flute as well. So it's called a dampit. You can get like the viola one or the bass one if you have a bigger instrument. This is also going into the live stream chat as well. Oh wow, that's like a lot of characters. Okay, let's see if we can share this. How do I share an Amazon thing? Okay, I should. Hey, they should give me a fee for for advertising their stuff. All right, okay, I'll just do this. Here's the name of the product. It's called the Grover Humidifier for Violin and Viola. Let's see, did I post that? No, I didn't. So that's what it's called, Grover Humidifier for Violin and Viola. You submerge them in water, and then you can actually just take it and just place it right inside the bamboo. Just plop it in, and then you can put that inside the inside of the tube, and then it will be super safe, no worries at all, and you'll be good to go. And that will keep the relative humidity inside your instrument very high, above 50%. So I wouldn't worry about anything cracking or any sort of issues like that coming up from if you use that. So those two things in mind. If you have that new tube, you put your flute in the plastic bag. You put the dampit in there, covered up. Seal that with a rubber band. Put it inside the kimono bag. Inside that bag, you will be more than secure with your flute, and I wouldn't have any concerns at that point. Another thing too to keep in mind as well is that it's totally fine for the flute to ride with you inside the plane, but don't check it and put it underneath the plane. You guys all know the stories that one thing after another happens, and then it's just like guitars, violins, instruments, bent tubas, everything has happened in those places. So just be careful with that. I would never give my instruments let them go underneath the plane. It's not a safe place. I like those videos where they compare different countries and how they handle your baggage at the airport. And then they show America. There's have these guys that are literally throwing it, tackling it, elbowing down on it. And then in Japan, it's serving everything on a golden platter, nicely going into the cargo storage area. It's completely different. So, okay. Now, one of the other questions I had, and I wonder if I can do this as a share screen for this, because I do want to go over all the stuff that's in the and I'll have to do this how do I do this? All right, first let me do this, because I want to show you guys everything that's actually included on the membership, because that's a question that always gets asked, well, what pieces are you teaching and stuff like that. And okay, fine, we can kind of go over that. I can show you all the things that are in it. Okay, so there we go. How do I do this now? Playing, I might have to oh, I know what I can do. I delete this. It really pays to be super on top of things with your computer and knowing how to do everything. Here we go. Aha! See? I know how to do stuff. And I can move myself over there. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and first just talk about what's in the Shoden series. All right, so I have to go to the next page. Membership bonus lessons. Look how many like things I have here. This is aha. There we go. We'll start with the Shoden. So as you can see, there's a lot of videos that are not included, like even on the things that we've that are on the main channel, right? So like there's a bunch. Of course, there's a bunch of videos on the main channel, but like all this stuff is hidden content, right? So this is the main program and how we go through it. So it starts out with of course the program overview and all that kind of stuff, making a sound, reading music, tone practice, and whatever. And so through these you already get 3 songs that are coming in, but all of this stuff up here, this is all children's songs and folk music, all the way up until this point, right? Until Tsuki no Sabaku. Or actually, no, until it goes further than that. All the way up until here. Okay? So that's up until lesson 24. That covers all of your folk music and all of your lullabies and stuff like that. And in this, up until here, this basically gets you to knowing how to play most of the notes on the shakuhachi, by the way. Then we get into honkyoku. So we got kyore, honshirabe, daiwagaku, banshiki, sanso no yugure. Some practice advice on that piece. Tsuki, and then we'll do a review. We've got duets, lots of duets here. Here's a bonus lesson that I also threw into it. This is a public lesson that anybody can access. We have fingering charts and the breather. Oh, that's another thing. Some more contemporary music and so on. Ghost of Tsushima ends the whole entire program. Okay? Now, that's just that one. So now let's go and let's look at another part of the of this, which is related. So that's the Shoden Lesson Series. We have to go to the bonus track, the bonus lessons. Because in the bonus lessons, we also have membership bonus lessons. So there's 19 of them. And we can... Here we go. So, Zan Yu Yake. This is a popular piece that was written for contemporary. It's a contemporary ensemble, but it's a Shakuhachi koto and piano. Yamato Choshi, which is another honkyoku piece. Banshiki no Shirabe, it's another honkyoku piece. Sashi, Soge no Kyoku. These are all bonus honkyoku repertoire that are included in that in the second level. Eitenraku and Soge no Kyoku. Those are 2 additional ones. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional pieces right at the start. Then you have Hitomi, which is a contemporary piece. This was one that was requested for me to teach, also to play, and so I did play it. But now there's also a how-to video. And then one of my students here, he's a professional percussionist, so he went over rhythm and pulse and stuff like that. So this is really good stuff here. Then going on, you have all of these additional lessons too that come afterwards. So playing in nature. This is actually a public video, but this was just kind of fun. I talked with Jonan about developing the piece Choshi or Honshirabe. We'd have a Suizen video, Shugyo video, and then I had Kyle Abbott come over and we did a 2-part lesson where you can kind of watch a one-on-one lesson. So that's really nice as well. An idea for Komibuki for lesson 14, broaching quiet, and then a checklist for the new year. That was last year, 11 months ago, and so maybe we might have to do an additional one after that. So that's all included in the second level, by the way. That's only, we haven't even touched the third level yet, right? Because remember that first level is really just a trial. It's only just gets you just started into it. Okay, so now we have the Chuden level, starting with Aki no Sato, Akotombo, and Nanatsu no Ko, Hanagasa Ondo, Soran Bushi, Kazoe Uta, Natsu no Omoide, Soshunfu, Hamabe no Uta and Hamachidori, Mori no Akebono, Itsuki no Kameruta. I mean, this is a lot of material. When we go into these two pieces here, these are both contemporary pieces by Fukuro Rando, Otome Gokoro and Mushizuki-o, Somu Kaeji, Hifumi Hachigaeshi, Darani, Horai, Murasaki Deho, Choshi, and then we have a collection of Sankyoku at the end. Now, this is just part one of the Chuden series. So the other part of the Chuden series is this, which is the technique series. So with the technique series, we know we clearly define what is atari, osu, and kazari. We go over legato breathing and legato breath, and then the introduction to tone development. This is a really important video, and as you can see, it's about an hour long. So it's not like these are just kind of short, kind of thrown together videos. They're really thought out and made explanations of specific techniques. Like just kata kata alone is an 8-minute video, and it's a technique you can learn very quickly, but how to implement it and how to use it in different situations, that's what we are teaching here. Next after that, Nayashi and Kamburi. That's one thing that gets kind of confused. Otsu, kan, and daikon practice, vibrato, double taps, and more. How to practice technique, how to practice pieces, mudaiki, and more. There's actually a lot of different variations of mudaiki. Let's see here. We have korokoro and horohoro. We kind of just spoke about that a little bit earlier. Komibuki, fukikiri, boko and uhagoro, medikari and daikari. Medikari and dai medikari. There's suriage, surisage, and surikie. Flutter tongue, tamane, and growls, single tongue, double tongue, triple tongue, and then trills and some other stuff as well. So as you can see, like we're talking like hours and hours and hours of content here for that you get access to. So there are still more. There's also the Western music reading course. So this kind of just gets you in. It's only 6 videos, but it just gets you started to reading Western music. It's nothing super big or anything like that. It also comes with a CD, Music from Nowhere. Let's see here. Let's see if I can go to the other one. Membership bonus, student documents, video archive. Let's see here. Shakuhachi tutorials. These are the public lessons. There's 75 of them. And I know I've been adding... Oh, here's the concert access pass. So now we're getting into the Okuden level. So I'll start here. So there's 18 concerts that you have access to. Everything from 2 years ago all the way up to just a month ago, right? So these 18 performances that I've given, and some other special stuff in there as well. Okay, so there's that. Let's go back, and then I want to backtrack once more to the Okuden level, wherever that is. There it is. So the Okuden series is something that's currently in progress. And so it starts out with Shingetsu, and that's actually not normally a part of the series, but I put it in here anyways. And then I went to Eko afterwards, which is a part of the series in there, but it's usually not in that order. Okay, so the first part of this I got done with all of the folk music. So tracks number 5 all the way to 20 are folk music, and they're really important folk music pieces because of how how it's going to help with your dexterity. One piece that's not a minyo is the kumoi jishi piece, this one here. And so kumoi jishi is in 2 parts, so it's 28 minutes of lessons on this particular piece. And it's kind of like in between. I think of it kind of like partially honkyoku, partially folk music. Then after that, we get Tamuke, 35-minute video. Nezasu Shirabe, 22-minute video. Takiyochi, part 1, part 2, part 3. All together, it's like an hour long for this piece. Akita Sugagaki, another hour-long lesson to go over this piece. Yamagoe, 30 minutes. Daha, 25 minutes. Koden Sugumori in 3 parts. 14 plus 6 is 20, plus that is 21. 21 plus 18, basically almost like a 40-minute video on going over Koden Sugumori. And remember, that's only a 5-minute piece. So that being said, is that we're trying to go in detail for you here. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this, and then we're going to come back over. So hopefully that answers the question on what's on the what is actually on the membership. So I think that what you pay for it, it's an incredible deal, right? You're only paying like what, $5 a month for 70 videos plus a few more. You play $14.99 for over 130 videos, and then $25 a month for, I think it's over 200 videos at that point, right? 200 videos and counting, because I'm still making this series. It's not done yet, so Okuden is still in progress. So if that's interesting to you, or if you're interested in that, I highly recommend signing up for it, because after that, it's not just those lesson videos. We give away the flutes often. I mean, I think this is going to be number 6 that I've given away, or 7. So the 7th flute, by the way, we're giving away on December 23rd. So if you are interested in that and you are wanting to have a chance to see all those video content, as well as have a chance to win this flute, hit the join button on this video. There are 4 levels, as we had just gone over. So that first level, you'll get 1 ticket. The second level, you get 2 tickets. The third level, you get 5. And the fourth Okuden level, you're going to get 10 tickets. ChatGPT will do the revealing of the results on December 23rd. Okay, so good. About halfway through the live stream of what I was going to do, about an hour and a half is what my plan was, hour and a half to 2 hours, because I definitely wanted to go over that in more detail. Our in-house producer is out today, which is very sad, but we have a lot of this kind of share screen stuff that I wanted to do, so that's why we're here. Okay, we did the update on the Taidu Jinashi, so hopefully it's going to be here during Christmas time, but it's looking like it's not going to be, so think of it as your New Year's gift. We just talked about all the membership stuff and the Shakuhachi we're giving away. Now, the next thing that I would like to go over, which is our Hito Yogiri course. So the Hito Yogiri course is getting bigger and bigger, and better, and so on and so forth. So we had just finished our 2nd installment of the beginner's course. So our main class has now grown in size, and we're really happy to have all these new people who are joining in to learn this awesome instrument. We're going to have another beginner's course later in the year, and I think that is actually up on my website. So with that, I think that means that I have to open up a new tab and kind of go to my website so I can pull up that detail as well. So let me grab that once again, and we can go over the stuff here. There it is. Okay, here it is. Here's my website. All right, here is me. So we have this new Hito Yogiri course that's coming up. These are the new course dates. So August 2025. It says August 205. I gotta fix that later. So right now, what we're advertising for the current students is we're going to be learning the Banshiki course. So the Banshiki course is the winter mode. So what's interesting about Hito Yogiri is that when it plays in its different keys or its different modes, it actually signifies the different seasons. So like this is the summer season. Then you have like the spring season. Right, so you get those different things. So we start out with the summer season, which is the Oshiki mode, and it's going to be August of 2025. So here's it ends August of 2025. It starts in June. So we have June 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 23 at 5 a.m., July 7th, 14th, 21, and 28, all at 5 a.m. Japan Standard Time. This ends up being like a pretty good time. It's like right early afternoon for people on the West Coast on Sunday, and then it kind of goes maybe like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on the East Coast, also on Sunday. So it's a really good time, easy time to sign up to do the lessons and stuff. The course is $500, and that includes all of these courses. So you get access to every single one of them. We do them as a group on Zoom, but if you do miss it, we do record all of it. So it's recorded and it's uploaded to a private link, and then you can access that at any time, and that's perpetual. You can access that until the internet breaks down or we have another Harrington event, and then everything is destroyed. So with that though, we also have to talk about how you're going to get a Hitoyogiri. So if you go to this page, go to Buy Shakuhachi. Let's see. Where do I have that? Oh, I think it's in my regular store. Here it is. So here's the regular store. And here is the Hitoyogiri Oshiki. So this flute is the one that I have here in my hand as well. So this is what it looks like in real life. Well, real life for me, still digital for you. The top characters are actually 24 karat gold. It reads the monkey cries, right? Saru ga naku. And that this particular name actually comes from a period document from 1512 called the Taigensho, where it talks about the birth of Shakuhachi, where it actually came from a monkey's bone. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, you can actually look up a video called like History of the Hitoyogiri with Linfamy. And I helped make that one. Well, I made that one, and it's on his channel. So, all right. We'll remove that because that covers all that stuff. So if you're interested in Hitoyogiri, now's a great time to sign up. You have plenty of time to get an instrument in your hand. You can start working on it. We do have materials that we give people when they buy a Hitoyogiri so they can get themselves started. And yeah, I've really enjoyed learning Hitoyogiri with Nick. He had lots of questions about shomyo and what goes on in shomyo and how things work there, and if it's related at all to Hitoyogiri, and we found out that a lot of things are related to it. So if you're interested, sign up for the Hitoyogiri. You can do all that kind of stuff at my website. Just go to the store page, sign up for the summer course starting in June, and then get yourself an instrument as well. The instrument is made out of resin. It's also 3D printed, but it is using Hon Urushi, which is the highest quality urushi. It's the same urushi that they use on like the old artifacts in Japan. They're like 2,000 years old, and they do touch-up work on it. It's the same urushi they use. And again, 24 karat makie gold on top here. Very beautiful. Just high-level artistry all around. So, okay. So let's go ahead and see if we have any more questions from live stream watchers. If there's any other questions about Shakuhachi, I know I just kind of like shot out just like a bunch of information there about all the things that are going on and some things that have happened. So it might be like, no, I just need to kind of take that in, and that's totally fine too. Let me see here. Okay. I think that Robert's also watching too. Robert's always a good guy. He always watches the live streams and always supports by having him. He's always being present here. So Robert, if you have any questions about Shakuhachi, I know you always have questions about Shakuhachi, so you're welcome to ask them. And also that tube, the tube idea, by the way, that's right above there. That's the same tube that Robert uses actually. And Robert travels quite frequently, especially when he comes to Japan. When he's in Japan, he goes. How many places do you go usually? Like 6 or 7, 10? He really, he's been to almost every single part of Japan. Like he has this map at his house of all the, like he has pins of all the places he's been. And like the map has actually taken the shape of looking like Japan now because he's been to so many places in Japan. So it's a very, very cool thing. He's more traveled in Japan than most Japanese people, which is very cool. There's a lot of cool places that he's been to that I too one day would like to visit. All right, let's kind of close up that file, clean it up a little bit. Now it's easier to see everything. So very good. There was one question that I had the other day, and I can't remember what it was about, but I remember that it was close to relating to Ro. I think it might have been, maybe that was the question that Audrey was asking that other day too. Okay, at the end of the page, someone made a similar comment referring to the use of plaster to make flutes dry faster. Oh yeah, yeah. Some people on the inside of flutes use plaster instead of G paste. You have to, which is a good reason to buy flutes from a reputable maker. And guess that's explains the increased price, as good flutes take more time to make. Yep, good flutes take a lot more time to make. Some people take shortcuts on making Giadi flutes, where they just kind of they use airplane plaster and urushi, and they don't mix very well, and they don't grab onto the bamboo. So what ends up happening is they crack and split, and it's no good, right? It just doesn't work out well, and it's unfortunate because they play really well for, you know, like the first 3 or 4 months, and then afterwards it just sounds awful. But G pace is the way to go, right? G, for those who don't know, when you're talking about a G-adi flute, it means that there is G. So what is G? G is a mixture of tonoko, water, and urushi. And when you mix those things together, it comes up with a very hard substance. Well, actually, kind of looks kind of gooey at first, but you can place that on the inside of the flute to create a bore shape. And the way to think about Giadi is that you add stuff to the flute to create a bore. And that bore hardens, and then it makes the flute louder and more balanced and easier to play. Giadi flutes work great for all around. If you want to do honkyoku, folk music, contemporary music, you know, jazz, blues, whatever it may be, those flutes typically work really, really well. And then a G mori is a flute that has either spot tuning, or that's half Giadi, half Jinashi. And then of course the Jinashi is actually a new term. Normally when you would say Shakuhachi, it actually referred to a Jinashi flute back in the day. But today, now we have to separate those. Like there's Jinashi Shakuhachis, G mori, and Giadi Shakuhachis. Jinashis just don't have G, but they do have urushi in them. And then just raw bamboo with no inserts, no nothing. It's just cut, and then the holes are popped in, and you take out the fuchi somewhat. Those are called hochiku, so it's just raw bamboo. When I asked, I talked with Yozan about this, actually, about making a hochiku flute, and he said, look, for the Giadi flutes, you know, it's like one in 100 poles in the, or I think maybe like 1 in 10 poles in a really good bamboo forest. 1 in 10 poles will get you you can use that bamboo for making a shakuhachi, right? Because they're old enough. They've been there for more than 5 years. You can tear them down, and then you're gonna reshape the inside of the bore anyways. With a G-mori flute, you know, now you're talking like 1 in 50, right? Because part of the bamboo might be really good, but the other part not so much, so that has to be changed and edited. A Jinashi flute is 1 in 100, and then a hochiku is 1 in 1,000, right? So just to get a really good hochiku flute, you just have to have this absolutely gorgeous piece of bamboo that's just so set up perfectly for playing shakuhachi. That is a hochiku, and so those are just very, very difficult to find. And so even for the Jinashi thing, right? Like the Jinashi thing too, the lacquer and the insert actually make the flute, the sound of the flute comes out cleaner, and because of the lacquer in there, it helps give it a little bit more volume as well. And you can use a lot of lacquer actually, and if you keep using, like, layering the lacquer, it actually can give the feel of the flute being closer to a Giadi because of how thick the lacquer is, and it starts to shape and change the bore. Lacquer, you know, it adds like what I think it's like 1/10 of a millimeter of whatever, but 1/10 of a millimeter of change in a bore really messes with the sound a lot. When we were again at the previous Shakuhachi festival in Aomori, Nick Belando was giving us a presentation on making Jinashi flutes, and he had one that was kind of in progress, and you know he'd play through it and whatever, and then it'd be like, oh yeah, that row really isn't, you know, doing whatever. So he'd say, okay, I'm going to sand off 1/10 of a millimeter, right? So he sands off 1/10 of a millimeter, and then the row starts sounding better, but then the re doesn't sound good. Like, okay, now we start the whole process over again, and now I'm going to start going over here and slowly work on the bore over here, taking out a little bit of that fushi, taking out a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and then step by step. So the process of making a jinashi is incredibly laborious, right? Especially when you're going to be making one that is, which still has the fushi intact. And the fushi are these nodes. So inside the node, they go all the way through the flute. On the inside, those get popped out, but then you can shape the internal bore size, and you basically create these different caverns, and the caverns are what resonate, and you get this sort of sense of back pressure on the instrument. Modern flutes just go kind of slowly down, taper, and then they kind of taper out at the end, and so the design internally of these flutes is different. So there you have it. Wow, so we're right at 59 minutes, so I actually got through everything way faster than I thought I was going to get through it. I started early for maybe no reason, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens. I'm also a really fast talker. I had a student here once, and I got a message from I think it was Nick, and I was listening to the message, and most people, when they send me a voice message or something like that, I listen to them at 2 times speed, because I think that everybody talks too slow. And so then when I'm listening back to it, everybody kind of sounds kind of funny. But then you're like, what is that? Like, oh, I listen to everybody back at like 1.5 to 2 times speed just to get through all the material a lot faster. I also watch YouTube videos at 2.5 times speed. I do not watch Netflix at 2.5 times speed though. Netflix and movies and stuff like that, I watch at normal speed. But YouTube and things like that, if it's like informational, documentary, debates, or anything like that, everything's 2 times speed, because I always feel like people talk too slow. All right, there it is. So I think that covers everything today. I do want to mention this too, since we are only about a month away from this anyways, it makes sense to also talk about this now. So because we're giving away the flute in December, we're not changing the second giveaway, which is in January. So, well, I say second, but it's like the 8th. So the end of this month is this flute for Yozan, and then the end of January will be this flute, which is also the Yozan flute. It has and I think this is the probably the most beautiful one out of the whole entire batch. What size is it? Size 5. It's a little bit thin, a little bit of a thin flute, but it's got a great sound on it. Oh, going back to that Minyo question actually that Herbert asked, one of the things that I learned about this is that many people who do Minyo prefer thinner flutes. I don't know if that's entirely true. I mean, someone who doesn't play Minyo kind of told me that. It was actually a maker who told me that. But they said that the thinner flutes typically have a warmer sound, and they mic everything anyway, so being really loud isn't a big issue for them. They'll just mic the flute, and then the sound is bigger. But yeah, they say that they like the thinner flutes for that, and they're easier to play, lighter weight, all that kind of stuff. So maybe something to think about too if you're really into playing Minyo. A flute that is thinner might be a better option for you as well. Okay, so I think that's it. I don't see any other new questions popping up in the live stream. I will give it another 5 minutes to proliferate a couple new questions, and if there's no new questions and no new stuff, then I suppose we will end our live stream today, and that gives me a little bit of extra time to head out to Osaka today and enjoy a little family outing, as it were. Pull up the Audacity thing. Close that. Actually, I don't need Audacity open. Okay. Going once, going twice, 3 times sold. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching and tuning into today's live stream. I know it's not as fun with having our in-house studio producer here. He is such a lively character and adds so much to the live stream when he is here. But sometimes it changes, and also sorry for the random time change of it too. Live stream stuff is I after doing these live streams, right? This is number 16. I really have a lot of respect for people who do consistent live streams every single, whether it be every day or every week. having that ready and having all that stuff prepared while just having your regular life going is a lot of work. Now we're lucky here at Taidu Studios that we have the community board, and I also have a team of people who help out with this kind of stuff. But for the people who do it by themselves, wow. Unless you're a game streamer, I think game streamers probably a little bit easier because you don't have to prepare as much. You just have to play the game. Anyways, if you haven't liked this video, like this video. If you haven't shared this video, share this video. If you're not a member on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and all that good jazz. And then if you're interested in learning Shakuhachi, join the membership. Hitting the join button, you will get access to 4 possible levels. You get the Shoden Trial, which is about $2.99 a month. The Shoden Lesson Series, $5 a month. The Chuden Lesson Series, $15, and then the Okuden level is just $25 a month. And of course, in this live stream, we went over through all the content that's in there. You also have a chance to win a new Yozan flute. Don't forget about the Hita Yogiri course that is coming up next year, along with a plethora of other things. If you're not a member of the Discord, consider joining the Discord as well. You can meet a bunch of other Shakuhachi players who also love the instrument, get tips, feedback, join masterclass and live streams, and so on and so forth. We'd love to have you there. We'd love to grow the community. Until then, roll for 10, and I'll see you.